I've got the first Avengers I ever got, which was the first comic I ever remember holding and seeing in the flesh.
Hey guys, I'm Kevin Plowy from CBR, and today we are at the home of one of my favorite actors in the business. This guy has been burning up the screen in films like The Dark Knight.
You want to tell me about the Joker?
The Ant-Man movies.
I have holes.
Dune.
My lord, you gave your word to the witch.
This year's sleeper hit, Late Night with the Devil.
Thank you for allowing me into your living rooms once again.
And he's one of us. David Dastmalchian.
Good evening.
So we are gonna take a look at your nerd haven. You have a den of a geek?
I have a den where the geekdom happens. I have numerous dens. I'll take you to my prized possession collection.
We first met 10 years ago. It was on the set of Ant-Man, Atlanta, Pinewood Studios outside Atlanta. I was there on a 2-day set visit. And I just remember speaking with you for the first time and being so struck because this role meant so much to you. You were like, no, this isn't just like a job for me. Like, I am a hardcore comic book collector. Here we are 10 years later. This is our show on CBR, One of Us, where we talk to creators who are not only making some of our favorite movies and television shows, but who are true fans themselves. And you immediately came to mind as like one of the ultimate examples.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today.
Isn't that crazy? 10 years, it goes so fast.
10 years.
From the first time we met Earth's tiniest hero.
Yes.
To now. I can't believe since then how many other things I've gone and done. It's insane.
I think this is going to become a recurring segment on this series. We'll call it Show Us Your Books. Let's start with your comic book collection.
Okay. So this isn't everything, but I've been organizing for a while. I've been collecting since I was a very young lad, about 9 years old, 3rd grade. And so I've got some half boxes and long boxes. Across the top is all DC. I tend to start with horror at the far left because that's my deepest love, especially. Look at that, Creature Commandos right out the gate.
Oh, we're going to talk about your time
yes,
into that later.
And some of the classic House of Mysteries. This is the stuff that I want most readily available on hand, and then I've got more bins of the stuff that I can't let go. It's that weird collector addiction that I have. Everything I have, and I want someday to give it all to my kids, and hopefully they think it's cool, although I don't think they could.
I was going to ask you, you're a father of 2. Do you let your kids come up here?
Absolutely. I try to not be precious about stuff. So sometimes I get verklempt because I'm like, oh my God, that is my creepy magazine that is, it was so hard for me to track down, and they just have it open and their dirty fingers on it. But it's like, come on, like, so what? Like, I'm taking as many boxes down and opening the toys when I can, because that's what they're there for. They brought me so much joy. When I first met Stan Lee, I told him that story. I said, I've got all these comics I've been collecting since I was a kid. I've got the first Avengers I ever got, which was the first comic I ever remember holding and seeing in the flesh. And I brought it to him to show him on the set of the first Ant-Man movie. And I said, I'm so worried I'm going to show them all to my kids, and they're going to say, fine, but how do you throw a curveball? Or how do you play a G chord on a guitar? And I'm like, I don't know. Right. So Stan took that very first comic that I ever bought. I didn't buy it, my dad did. Yeah, and he signed it to my good friend Arlo, which is my son's name. And
amazing.
And Arlo and Penny, my daughter, is very into horror and the macabre and scary stuff, which is really
I wonder
cool.
where she got that from.
I don't know. It's interesting. I haven't been able to figure it out yet. My son is big manga and anime fan, which is cool because I've been a massive fan of Japanese art, Japanese culture, but manga wasn't always like my thing. I mean, there was some anime that I always really loved and followed, but it's cool because he's teaching me stuff now and turning me on to Black Clover and Demon Slayer, and then I in turn get to now go be a part of a show like One Piece, which is based on one of his favorite comic properties, manga properties ever. Which is really cool. Yeah.
This is Thor and Fantastic Four. I think they're fighting Surtur, right? That son of a bitch, Surtur. You said this was Monica Rambeau, WandaVision, or Wanda.
Wanda's there, Firefly. You've got Vision. You've got everybody. I mean, Wasp and Hercules. You've got She-Hulk. You've got the whole gambit. And what's great about this is I always was obsessed with the team-ups. So Secret Wars was that was an event that was taking place while I was collecting comics. Like, I was a very little boy when the Secret Wars happened. You just, you get that first taste of like going through boxes of comics and looking, and And then sometimes you get bit by the bug, like I got bit by the acting bug, or I got bit by the writing bug, or the monster bug, and some of these things just don't leave us. Speaking of the comic books, the one I think I'm the most proud of, my kid made. Look at that, Plant Man versus Gax.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one of the hottest sellers, I think, out of Diamond. I don't think anybody has ordered as many of those. I'm really proud. I love it. My kids have a great artistic flair, and I hope being in a space like this encourages them that when you grow up, you don't have to let go of the things. My son loves video games so much. My daughter loves animals and pets and creatures and magic, and I hope and I pray that they never lose that. I came very close. I came very close to losing it, and when I got it back, I'm now very greedy for it, and I cling to it, and it's a big part of what keeps my soul, going. And I think if we can all look at those parts of us as kids that were free and unbridled by self-consciousness and fear and all the stuff that starts to happen the more you walk through this world, the more we can just be present for each other and enjoy our lives.
Number 2 item, she lingers above our shoulders right here, and gosh, she's beautiful.
Leave and walk out on all this publicity?
Jane Mansfield. This is a bottle of bubble bath soap.
So Jane, not unlike myself, was a shameless self-promoter. I mean, I'm out here shilling my comic books at every comic shop I can go to. It was tragic. She was a big starlet, and then she was, bred by the studios to be the next Marilyn, and then America's tastes kind of shifted, and all of a sudden they weren't looking for the next Marilyn anymore, and she was kind of left holding the bag. And the truth of the matter was, she wasn't a ditzy blonde at all. She had 154 IQ. She spoke like 6 languages. She could play the violin virtuosically. She was this really just adroit speaker and talented person who knew Shakespeare. But she presented herself as this because that's what she thought sold. And in the end, she was doing openings for grocery stores or things like that, and just trying to support her family, who she loved so much. And this represents so much to me. And God, if people were willing to buy bubble bath bottles that were shaped like me, I'd sure as heck be shilling them out. I just don't think anybody wants one, unfortunately.
But check out some classic horror albums on your very impressive wall of frames here. I love this because I'm a huge vinyl junkie myself, and these are beautiful. I mean, this is art. This is art. You were talking about your wife maybe preferring something else, but this is beautiful.
Thanks, man.
How long have you been collecting these?
So I was in maybe 2nd grade, and there was a cool record at the Montgomery Wards. My dad was there buying tools. It was Halloween, the day before Halloween, and I begged and pleaded. It was just like that comic book. He never would get me anything, but I begged and pleaded, and he did. He got me this record. I took it home. I put it on. We had a very conservative religious house where you weren't doing things like playing scary records, but I did, and it scared me so bad I got crying, and my mom was so mad. My dad had to take it back to Montgomery Wards and traded it off for some silly thing, that I ended up getting, which I also loved. It was maybe a Monster Mash record or something, but as I got older and I started collecting tape cassettes and CDs of horror sounds, because I was always making haunted houses in the front porch at Halloween and trying to make haunted houses at my school or in the cellar. I started realizing and learning about the great history with Halloween records and horror sound effect records, and the amazing artwork that decorated and covered some of these. Ghostly Sounds, More Death and Horror, that's a BBC recording, and they're super violent, really crazy images. The Shock, Terror, Fear. Wow. Some of them were put out by the studios to promote films. You also had actors and filmmakers, like Alfred Hitchcock would put some out. Boris Karloff did some, Vincent Price did. This Houdini seance is a real catch. I love this, but you can't see it here, but the actual record, which I was so scared of and my mom forced to be sent back, is about 3 behind you. It's that Monster Mash Sounds of Terror with Dracula on the cover of it.
David, you have a very prized piece of jewelry you want to show us today.
Yes. Jewelry that comes from around the globe.
Yes.
This was an item that you could only order out of the back of the magazines published by the Warren Publishing Group back in the day.
R.I.P.
Yes, and there were these artisans who traveled all the way to Transylvania, and they collected dirt and dust from Dracula's castle, and then put them inside of these coffin-shaped amulets, and you could order them by mail. Now, of course, by the time I wanted this, you couldn't order them by mail. I thank the internet. It's so helpful sometimes when you're looking for something, and there's kind people that will help guide you to it. And look, I even have a certificate of authenticity. The Dracula soil pendant was created in a limited edition of 5,000, of which this is numbered 1,707 from the Warren Publishing Company, Inc. And here it is in this beautiful casket designed by my friend Kat.
Nice.
And I will wear this on special occasions, especially around Halloween season, whenever I'm trying to conjure the power of the vampire. I think it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, I love it.
Not to play, late night with the devil's advocate or anything, but like I was gonna say, like, how do you know this isn't dirt from like, a grassy knoll in Weehawken, New Jersey? But you got the certificate.
I have the certificate of authenticity, so no one can pull one over on me. I am
Yes.
a very savvy consumer.
Another item. This is your most prized celebrity autographs, and in true Dastmalchian fashion, they are horror icons.
Yeah.
I love it. Talk us through some of these autographs you have on the wall.
I have a beautiful Bela Lugosi, I've got a Frederick March, I've got Lon Chaney Jr., Boris Karloff. I'm really proud of this wall because it's an assembly of all the things that I really care about and love. You've got the original appearance of the Polka-Dot Man in Detective Comics.
Awesome.
You've got my autographs, some of my favorite records like Vincent Price's Witchcraft Magic,
Yeah.
Poster for my film Animals, which is an indie that I really love,
Yeah.
my son's artwork, my daughter's artwork.
Well, we started with comic books. Let's end with comic books,
Okay,
because
I
you,
love
sir, are not only an actor in some of our best comic book movies. You're not only a gigantic comic book collector. You are now also a comic book author. You were just at San Diego Comic-Con. I think you have like 88 comics about to drop. Insane for every label out there. Tell us about this new chapter and what you have coming.
Hold on, you ready, guys? So,
Yes.
my first comic that I was able to start writing and get published was with Dark Horse Comics. It's called Count Crowley. She started as a reluctant Midnight Monster Hunter. Now she's a mediocre Midnight Monster Hunter. The third volume of Count Crowley, which for those who don't know, we take issues from story arcs and we compile them into a graphic novel that's sometimes called a trade paperback. That will be coming out at the end of October.
Nice.
So you can go get those books now at any bookstore or go to your local comic shop. And then it's just incredible. Since that time, I've gotten to be a contributor with my frequent collaborator, Leah Kilpatrick, to the Headless Horseman anthology that comes out at Halloween every year for Dark Horse. We did last year, we're doing this year. DC invited us as well to contribute to their DC Horror Presents anthology, which I'm so excited about. But that wasn't the first thing I got to do with DC.
Right.
In fact, DC Horror, Jim Lee himself gave me the blessing to return the Creature Commandos to the pages of comics.
Yes.
And it's an exciting year for the Creature Commandos because obviously everybody on Earth is dying to see James Gunn's
Yes.
animated
Right.
story come to life with the best cast you can possibly imagine. Mine is
Obviously a
in
buddy of yours, James.
one of my best friends who I am just incredibly grateful for in my life, both as a person and as an artist, but also yeah, so I get to do a comic book arc that is in a separate reality of James's show, but that is inspired by that team that I grew up. Can I pull it out? Reading as a
Yes.
kid. I mean, this is by far, next to West Coast Avengers and some of the goofier teams that I followed as a kid, one of my favorite comic book teams. They didn't have their own series. They were part of an ongoing called Weird War Tales, which is where we discovered a lot of wonderful creatures like G.I. Robot, etc.
Yeah.
But the Creature Commandos had about, I think, 13 or 14 stories throughout. And
Including killing Nazis.
killing Nazis, fighting dinosaurs.
Yep, yep.
This is one of my favorite covers. You've got Hitler proselytizing while but don't think that the Creature Commandos don't absolutely whoop his ass.
Wow. So you're working with DC, you're working with Dark Horse, you're working with Image, you're working with everybody. You're becoming like the David Dastmalchian of comic book writers.
Again, it's you say that word gets thrown around a lot, like grateful, blessed, and I know they can be hashtag jokes, but I mean it. Like, and anybody out there that is watching this who's like, oh my God, I remember being 30 and just wanting to give up, being like, this is never gonna happen. I was working a job I didn't love, but the people were nice. I was telemarketing and at night working in a movie theater, and I'd spend almost all that I could spare on my paychecks at the comic shop and trying to write my own stuff and doing theater for no money and just loving the creative process.
Yeah.
But here I am today, getting to talk to you.
David, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you guys. I can't tell you how much it means to me. There's so many more things you'll have to come back and see. I love my Renko monster collection with the laboratory. Look at these incredible figures I got from the Boulet brothers as a birthday present. I'm gonna assemble and paint all those. We've got, oh, did you see these new NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys?
Nice.
Look at that. They're the monsters from the Universal creatures. There's a Wolf Man. Wow. There's Invisible Man. Look, you can even see his pizza in his shell. I could go on all day.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, Kevin Blowy here, the guy from that thing you just watched. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of One of Us. Thank you to the awesome David Dastmalchian for allowing us into his house and letting us play with all of his toys. Guys, there will be more episodes of One of Us to come. We hope you enjoyed. And hey, if there's a celebrity you'd like us to see visit, maybe check out their collections, let us know in the comments.